guys, it's Jessica from Peace Love Books, and today I'm here with a video about one of my favorite authors. She's been my favorite author for probably like 4 or 5 years, and I remember discovering her because my sister, she read Slammed, and I was like, how are you discovering authors before I am? I'm the book person in the family. And so from then on, I've devoured every single new release from Colleen Hoover. I have read every single book by her except for Maybe Now. I know I'm atrocious and haven't gotten to that book yet. And the second and third book in the Slam series, I just never got around to reading them. Slam's not my favorite of hers, so that's why I haven't read it. So I'm hoping to get to soon though. And then her newest book's coming out in December, and I do have an arc of it, which I'm freaking out about, so I need to finish that as well. I've read all of her other books though, and I'm gonna go ahead and talk about my top 5 books that I've read by Colleen Hoover out of all the books she's written, which is a lot, and talk about why I love them. Coming in at number 5 might be a surprise, but I recently reread the audiobook and just fell back in love with this book, and that is Youre Perfect. This one came out, was this last year's, and it was definitely a surprise. I read it in a very short amount of time. It was a Polycon, so that is a book signing I go to with my friends, and my friend Sarah had the physical arc of it. I had the e-copy, and I just prefer reading her books as a physical copy. So while I was there in the hotel room, I flew through the book in a day because then I had to give it to our other friend to read while we were all there for 3 days. And so I recently re-listened to the audio, and it is just a heartbreaking but amazing story. It flashes between the couple in the past when they are meeting when both of their respective significant others are cheating on them with each other, and they decide to start dating each other, and so we watch them fall in love, and then we flash back to the present where they are having a lot of marriage issues. There are some infertility issues in here, so be very wary if you have dealt with that yourself. My sister is a high-risk OB nurse, and so she just says this subject just hits too close to home to what she works with every day, so she can't read this. But I loved watching this couple fall in love and then watching them try to learn to love each other again. It was so good, and I really enjoy it. I feel like for every single one of these books, I vividly remember where I was when I read them. The next one is Ugly Love. This was the first time I actually got to meet Colleen, was when this book released. She was on the Atria tour with Abby Glines and Jamie Maguire. I got this. I was a senior in college. I went home to my apartment and literally read all day. This was so good because, again, we have the present and the past mixed together as 2 chapters, and the past chapters are written in poetry form, and there are secrets revealed about his past and why he acts the way he is. This was supposed to be a movie, and that unfortunately fell through, but it was going to have Nick Bateman as Miles. Perfect selection, but Miles Archer is a pilot, and his best friend's sister comes to live with the best friend who lives across the hall from him, and she's a nurse, and they start a physical relationship with no strings attached. People don't like this because they say it's an unhealthy relationship. They acknowledge that they are not being good people and that this is not a healthy relationship. They're not even in a real relationship. I really enjoyed it. He is a broken man, and she kind of helps him through that. So this is another one of my favorites. The next one was such a shocker for me, and that is Verity. This one, again, I remember vividly reading this past December at home after my sister had read it, and oh my god, I was like, holy crap. Like, people kept on talking about how amazing it was. This is a suspense psychological thriller. I don't know if I necessarily call it a thriller. I don't know what to call it, but it's this author who was in an accident, and so she's like in this vegetative state, I guess, but she still like can go around places, but there's like nothing's happening with her, and so this other woman is hired to continue writing for her as a ghostwriter, and she continues on with her series, and I think it's a ghostwriter, I don't remember particularly, but she has to go and like live with them for a little bit with the husband and the 2 kids because she needs to go through her office and all of her notes, and she discovers a manuscript, and that's all I can say. It was crazy. The ending, I still don't know what to think about it. I literally couldn't think for like 2 hours after that ending. I was just like, what? And it was creepy, so this is definitely a good read for this time of year, but so shocked by this. I'm so happy Colleen has been branching out into different genres. I think she's writing a paranormal right now. I don't know, but whatever she writes, I'm very excited for. And the next one is Maybe Someday. This is so close to being my number one, but it's not quite my number one because I actually cried in my number one book. But this one, so good. That's why I'm saying it's a crime I haven't read book 2 yet, because like this is one of my all-time favorite Colleen books and I listened to it on audio. Again, what I've been doing with Colleen's books is I read them a while ago when they all first come out and then I re-listened to them on audio and I love re-listening to them. This one, our main character's boyfriend cheats on her with her roommate, so she has to move out, and she decides to move out across the quad to the apartment of this guy who she kind of struck up a friendship with via text because he's a musician and she kept on seeing him like playing on their like balcony, and she would see them on her balcony, and she moves in with him. He's deaf and she starts falling for him, but he's in a relationship and there's a reason why they really cannot attempt to be together, and it's so heart-wrenching, but it's so good, and I love the music they write together. I love this book so much. Oh my gosh, so much. You need to read this if you haven't yet because it's amazing, and just like the scenes of them writing together, especially since he's deaf, are just amazing, and I love the heartache in it, and it's so good. And my number one book, if you follow me at all for the past few years, you know this is my number one. One of my favorite books of all time. My dog is actually named after the main character of this book, and that is It Ends With Us. This one is also gonna have a movie made of it. Hopefully. The film rights are bought by the guy who plays Raphael in Jane the Virgin. He also produced 5 Feet Apart, so I have high hopes for this movie. This one, so good. Lily is the main character. Lily's my dog's name, and she falls in love with a surgeon, and it goes from there. My favorite guy in this book though is not the guy she falls in love with, and this is just a really harsh look at life and relationships and trusting someone and when to say enough is enough and stop a relationship. Like, when is that point? And putting yourself first versus putting other people first. And this book made me cry. I got an arc of it from ALA when I went a few years ago when this book came out, and I was like in shock that I had an arc of Colleen Hoover in my hands. That was my first one ever getting from her, and from Atria, when she still published with Atria, and I remember reading it on the plane coming home from there because I had to read it immediately, and then I finished it when I got home and cried so hard at certain points in here, and then I did re-listen to it on audio, and I really want to re-listen to it again because this book is just magical and heart-wrenching and amazing, and I feel like Colleen writes the best emotions ever in her books, and that's why I love them so much. So I'm very excited for her new book coming out. It definitely sounds like it's going to be more along the lines of Without Merit and Slammed with younger characters, but we'll see. I'm excited. But those are my top 5 Colleen Hoover books. I did do this video quite a few years ago and I haven't looked at it yet, so I don't even know if I've changed. I know Maybe Someday was in it. Interesting. So I did this 3 years ago, and November 9 was in my top, and I don't know what other one. I'm only holding 4 of them, but I said I had a top 5, so I'll link that down below if you want to check that out. That's been a while ago. And let me know if you want a reading vlog of my live reading of the new book Regretting You, or if you just want me to do a review. Let me know. I'm going to read that in November, so I'm very nervous and excited because it's a new Colleen book. So yeah, that's all I have. Let me know down below what your favorites are. I'd love to hear. As always, thank you so much for watching and have a good day. Bye.